This is IBM Museum. A little bit of a video recording in the daylight hours. I'm going through on this video to replace the motherboard of that Windows XP installation that we're trying to do on the IBM ThinkCentre. And I think it's a S51 submodel. But we kept running into blue screens on the Windows XP install. In fact, it wouldn't even go through and install MS-DOS 6.22 from the authentic diskettes that I have. So I don't know how toolless this is going to be. I'm going into it blind in this case. We'll just have to see. That new motherboard that I believe doesn't have any mileage on it, still in that anti-static bag, it just looks brand new. It's on a tray, so we're going to see how quickly it can be swapped in. So let's go through and get started. One of the first things I did want to point out is I am ready to do a video capture in case we can get the system up and going. And this is the power supply for my video capture that I just really haven't had any length of time at all. And it's supposed to be a very good, high quality JTEC unit. And I noticed that first, but then on the other end, and I haven't had this long, I haven't gone through and abused this at all. I don't know why this has gone through and split this badly for the cable. And it does have the leads of the cable marked out. In fact, it even looks like this power supply, for all the cheapness that it is, it could be accessible. There's a Phillips screw and looks like some clips here to take this apart. And thankfully I dug around and I've got plenty of 5-volt power supplies. That's what that small print says, made in China. And it identifies the voltage of it, luckily. And of course I could typically look at the other end, but it doesn't even mark what, this is commonly a positive center for these power supplies, and it doesn't even mark that. But this is just absolute junk that was included with that video capture unit. So, heck with that. So let's go through and get the unit opened, get everything, and then this I/O carrier just pops out. We're going to go through and, of course, disconnect all the different connections. Oh, that tray, wow. Because normally that tray has there's a little blue tab that's down here for pulling that out. And I was surprised on how that moved. And some of these are going to be the more challenging. Let me just see how this is showing up on camera. Oh, pretty good. Some of this, and I might have to get on my glasses to see a little bit better in here. Yeah, probably pulling these cables is going to be the hardest challenge of this. Getting this out of here. Okay. Unless we have a pull on that IDE cable. And I didn't look to see if the new motherboard has a battery on it, but certainly that's not a hard thing for me to come up with here. Okay. And that's the SATA connector. Remember, that's SATA connector is in for the slot, and then the separate and I'm saving this diskette drive connector for last. Like I say, I'm surprised. Oh, that's even on that tray itself. Okay, and does this okay, and maybe I have to get that power supply out of there because it does a little bit of an overhang. So this is the first tool use in this process. The 4 screws that we had out for replacing the fan on the power supply as it was. Okay. Okay. That makes it much better. And then I have the speaker connection. Like I say, I'm saving this diskette. So is it kind of like a spin? It's a little bit of a spin action to make room. I don't think that there's any kind of instructions. We got a little bit of a, I'm saying, what? This channel is not the Mr. Puzzle. See, it's got those headers. Oh, there we go. Okay. And I don't want to distort that. I see, and that's even missing one of the screws off of the parallel port. It's a pretty common thing. So this lifts up. It's got a lighter brown piece, and the contacts are away from that brown lift assembly. And I'll probably go through and pull the RAM. I'll go through and operate from the this entire motherboard here first, the RAM that they have. This has RAM. It has the memory. Well, excuse me. RAM, same as memory. Has the CPU. And go through and do a little bit of visual examination. I just want to see if there's... It does look a little bit dusty. So this may... This is the first time I've had this out of the bag as well. Version 45 on the BIOS label, even though all the flash BIOS and everything else can. And this has, the old one has revision 41. So yeah, it's got these plastic tabs. They're like pull tabs on either side, and that one's even down over that slot, that riser slot. Looks a little bit bent for all that. So this could have been in service. It's kind of strange to be in service that it was pulled and being a complete unit, but okay. Because these have those tabs. Okay, so little trick here, I guess, is sliding the front connectors, that USB and audio connectors underneath that lip of this assembly that spins up, and that is enough to clear the back. We have to make sure it doesn't get locked. So we rotate down, it kind of locks. Okay. And I guess that tray just sits in there. I'll just work front to back, and then I'll get the power supply back in there. And we said bring the latch up. And this just slips in there, and then you push the latch down, and that looks like it's all seated pretty square. And we'll put these in the clips as we go through. Okay. And And our IDE drive. That's strange. That's an 80-pin connector, but then it has a piece clipped out of it there. For some reason. Okay. And we have our SATA connection. And remember, we said that this was in, okay, do we want all these twist in there? And this is for the DVD drive. But remember, we said this connection goes through in that connection, and probably this other SATA connection is for a possible hard drive. Okay, get our fans connected here, and maybe should have done that before getting that planer down place. It has a little metal, and I don't know if that's like an air deflector in a way. Okay. Do I have any light for my hat assembly? Or do I need to replace the battery in it, maybe? Okay. So, and that's another good use for the modern day smartphones too, is to take pictures. And hopefully I didn't get the cart before the horse here, but we can. Okay. Get this main power connection seated before I put the speaker connection back on. And then the 4-pin, and we didn't disconnect any of the drives or anything like that. Okay, and this went into, get our IDE cable in there first. Okay, and we should have all the connections and wiring loops. We need to have those cables in, and we can go ahead and seat the riser. Okay, and Go through. I don't know if I want to necessarily fully close that. In fact, just to move around. And that's the only tool that was needed otherwise, besides a pair of hands, is the 9/16. I don't know if there's an exacting metric replacement for that, because I would think that IBM would be using metric. But 9/16. Oh, excuse me, 3/16. I was going to say 9/16 is kind of big, but that seems like it fits those screws pretty snug. Okay. Okay, so we have everything connected. Okay. Let's see how the... Although I'll be going through and turning off the SkyCam as I go through and get all the external connections made. And nice little handy keyboard. Get our display. Okay. And lastly, our power connection. Okay, and I heard the brief whir, and it flashed the keyboard lights, as you guys saw. Huh, it's running fans for... There's actually a little bit of air. Oh, it's running the power supply fan. I wouldn't have thought that for the unit being off otherwise. I guess that is truly off there. So let's, speaking of off and on, okay. And I may just have to go 640 by 480, at least initially. That's what it's set at. So we got done looking at that Lacuna Model 77. And okay. Let's go through. Power that up. Okay. Okay. So I do have what should be a bootable C drive, that DOS installation that I tried. It's incomplete, but it should be unauthorized CMOS change detected. And I sure hope okay, and I could probably go through and set the time and date correctly. Okay, I can't type it in directly, I just have to do plus, no. That's going to get strange real quick. Okay. Okay, enter. Again. Okay, enter. Plus, 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 plus. Okay. Okay. And the glare gives me a hard time here. Okay. I don't know where my minus is on this little keyboard, but I can go through plus and just increase the value. Okay. So no. Devices. Everything should be enabled by default. And I mean, I could disable that network boot. I'm actually going to turn, for this keyboard, I'm actually going to turn the numlock off because it doesn't have a separate numerical area on the keypad and can mess up with the overlay of the number keys on Okay. Startup device. Okay. I'm going to set this over to yes. And as I say, you don't want to set the passwords on these things. You forget that, and it means the soldering a chip. It's factory level service to get through that. And so and I didn't see necessarily anything for the menu. So if you go to disabled, does it then... Okay, once. Huh. Whatever once means. I was looking actually for the menu. Of which device is used as a boot. Okay, I heard it spin the diskette. Okay. And there is that bootable MS-DOS partition. And surprisingly, this thing, and I just went through the setup and F-disk and everything else, and it ended up being kind of incomplete. But it's like I thought it was close to like an 8 gigabyte, but that's below even 7. Or no, I'm misreading things. Yeah, so that, we may actually want that bigger. So okay, I think what we'll do, well, let me see. Let's even see if it does boot from diskette. Okay, I heard it run the... Yeah. Uh-oh. And this could be just a diskette drive. I was having trouble with this on the So I hope this diskette drive is not... I'm just wanting to see the boot, and I'll go through, probably during the XP installation, I'll go through and set aside a 2 gigabyte I just want to see, before I was able to boot from this diskette that had the system information tool files on it. It is a bootable diskette, and then I had trouble with the booting from the authentic Microsoft disk and running through the installation of MS-DOS 622. During the second diskette drive, it started kicking up errors. And although I do want to do that later on, I want to go through and I want to install DOS in a separate partition on this system. And see there, it boots to that fine. And I'll go through, and it's easier to wipe the partitions out with XP. I think this is we discovered this is like a 40 gigabyte Okay. Now before I bag this planer, and we're actually going to power the system down. And remember, with the whole new assembly, we still ended up with having those diskette drive errors. Okay. And I'll pull the power cord. And that heatsink is getting warm. But as I said in the previous video, you want to see warmth on the heatsink because then you know the transfer. And despite the heatsinks on these memory, that's nice Corsair memory, Platinum series. But we do have the twice as much RAM. We've got 4 gigabyte of RAM between these two DIMMs. And I hope the sun doesn't play across the recording area, especially during the length of time that an XP install is going to take with the pauses, just like I did before. And okay. Okay. And now we can go through and bag, and we'll put away that memory at some point as well. And get my XP. And I think that this drive had a little, it was kind of goofy with ejecting the disk as well. And if it keeps that behavior up, I've got other SATA drives that are comparable to that. It says DVD multiplayer. And I think I have some SATA drives like that, DVD drives that are also CDR, CD recordable. And okay. I don't know if that is kind of like hung. Okay, we should get the prompt to press in the key. Why did this? Okay. So, one other swap. And rather than even swap that CMOS battery from, well, I guess we can swap it from this other one. I do have new batteries around. Do I have those close at hand? I've been moving around. Yeah, I've got those. Even the last Duracell and these things are childproof. They have all the seals on them. And these, man, that pressure is like incredible. Yeah, that clip is like, wow. And I don't know necessarily why I have to roll video while I'm doing this, but I haven't seen, see that, and that clip goes all the way down when it's off. That thing is just incredibly tight. So now that we have a fresh battery in there, going through all the CMOS settings that we did before, especially since I didn't have the SkyCam on visible. Okay, enter. I think we had hit enter quick enough. Should prompt us again. Or is this stuck in some... Okay. Okay. And on this, wind it up. At least we're a little bit aware of the sequence now. Okay. And yikes, we've ended up with a 50 minutes so far. So I may go through and split this into Okay, and we saw all that. So I may just go through and split this into a video of itself and then get into the aspect of the XP install being the point where I resume the next video. And so we're booting. We didn't get prompted for seeing now that partition is going to get in the way. I didn't see a prompt for the DVD drive. But in any regard, we've got the system working. I mean, I would hope that we don't get any blue screens as we get to the point of an XP install. But who knows? That'll be another video. This is just, if it's above 50 minutes, I'm not going to go through the all the XP install and activation. That'll be another video. And it'll be another video I can do today following this one. But I'm going to do that as a separate video. So certainly if you enjoyed seeing me swap out that tray of the motherboard, click on that like button. Relatively tool-free and easy enough of process to do. And just one of those off-the-wall things. When I started encountering errors on that, I realized that that might be the part level swap that I needed to get through that, because I wasn't still sure of the why I was encountering certain errors. And it still may be that some things like the diskette drive is giving errors, that tray not coming out on the DVD drive, and I can swap that out easily enough. But that is all I have for now with this content. If you're not subscribed to my channel, certainly do that. But this is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.